Hi, everybody. My name is Christine, and I am here to present to you a fragment of my thesis gesturing towards a decolonial feminist rereading of the single story, the precarity and possibility of Matandang Dalaga narratives. The inspiration behind this thesis has much to do about the Matandang Dalaga, which entwines female aging, matandang babae, and female singleness, babaeng walang asawa, and invokes not only the stereotype of a Filipino single woman past the typical marrying age, but also a hackneyed single story. By and large, the single story is a story weighed down by default narratives of singleness, and every so often, these narratives lump together, forming a singular storyline of either exclusion, failure, or decline. In place of the deficit narrative, an unsifted celebratory narrative is occasionally offered with a false reassurance of the single woman's full autonomy and choice, defying traditional femininity. Whereas deficit narratives shore up the emptiness and inferiority of the single life, celebratory narratives overemphasize the exhilaration of choosing to be single. Both tend to be lopsided, hasty, and unreflective takes on what it means to be single. In many stories and societies, the aging single woman is beleaguered by what De Paulo and Morris define as singlism or the discrimination against and stigmatizing of single adults. This is where singleness studies comes in as a response to the ubiquity stealthiness of singlism. As posited by De Paulo, aside from raising awareness about the viability of the single life, singleness studies aims to defang the ideology shoring up the default narratives of singlehood. This study identifies this ideology as reproductive ideology, or the coupling of productivity and reproductivity, which together have bred narratives of a life well lived, inextricable from capitalist logic and the coloniality of gender. The decolonial feminist agenda of this thesis crafts a textual rereading of selected literary and non-literary narrativizations of the Matandang Dalaga, bringing to the center the singles perspective via singleness studies, age relations via aging studies, non-reproductive identities and narratives via queer narrative theory, and recentering the embodied lives and stories as well as the sense of agency of aging single women in the global south via decolonial feminism. This textual rereading or analysis entails interrogating why Matandang Dalaga narrativizations bring unease in contemporary story discourse, locating the sense of agency of the Matandang Dalaga while criticizing the ideological and material forces that have continued to curtail their agency, and reclaiming the Matandang Dalaga from being pushed aside by colonial modernity. Patterned after Lenny Marshall's framework, the methodology of this study urges for analysis, advocacy, and activism through expanding the range of literary and cultural scholarship. Here I reread an excerpt from Kerima Polotan's The Virgin, detailing in one fell swoop the most intimate longings of the single woman protagonist. Whilst rereading, we reflect on how the articulation of Miss Miharis's singlehood interrupt our linear sense of narrative's beginning, middle, end, how the sense of agency is carried out, and what this agency recuperate from the default narratives of the single story. And yet, Miss Miharis did think of love. Secret, short-lived thoughts flitted through her mind. In the jeepney she took to work when a man pressed down beside her, and through her dress she felt the curve of his thigh. When she held a baby in her arms, a married friend's baby or a relative's, holding in her hands the tiny pulsing body, what thoughts did she not think, her eyes straying against her will to the bedroom door and to her friend's laughing, talking face, to think, how did it look now, spread upon a pillow? Unmasked of the little wayward coquetries, how were the lines about the mouth and beneath the eyes? Did they close? Did they open? In the one final coquetry of all, to finally miserably bury her face in the baby's hair. And in the movies, ah, the movies, to sink into a seat as into an embrace, in the darkness, with 100 shadowy figures about her, and high on the screen, a man kissing a woman's mouth while her own fingers stole unconsciously to her unbruised lips. Narratives of exclusion reinforce the aging single woman's gradual sexual disqualification from a marketable or dateable youthful society, the hegemony of the partnered world, society's compulsory cis heterosexuality, and the romantic imaginary or compulsory romance. The aging single woman is thus excluded from what is sexually intelligible and from what is considered socially sensible, natural, and normal. In close readings of Polotan's The Virgin, Lingat's Estero, and Aguilar's Two Witches, the aging single Filipino women protagonists such as Miss Mijares, Sidra, Lisa, and Talia are either disregarded or ostracized by their communities and even expelled for their late singlehood. Late singlehood exponentially ages and renders Miss Mijares and Sidra as pindanga, a term for a long, silver, scary-looking, emaciated fish eel with serrated teeth and menacing eyes. In the marriage market, young, fertile women are sariwa. Sterile matatandang dalaga are bilasa. Tethered to the Pindanga figure is the walang nanligaw narrative wherein Filipino society's male gaze approximates the matandang dalaga as sexually starved and undesirable, hindi nakatikim ng luto ng Diyos. Narratives of failure for aging single women are interpreted as failing to comply with traditional femininity, as failed womanhood, as nominal or failed cis heterosexuality, as personal failure or personal deficit, as a feminized temporal failure to follow society's collective rhythm, and ultimately as a failure to be genuinely happy. In close readings of Oranza's Quality of Dreams, in Sikat's Ang Lohika ng mga Bula ng Sabon, and in Brainard's Trinidad's Brooch, the familial gaze renders the protagonist Isabel, the unnamed woman renting a Quezon City apartment, and Trinidad as incomplete and unhappy single women. Veneracion notes that since pre-colonial times, the Filipino woman who is pregnant is said to be in a state of kagampan, which literally meant being truly a woman. And thus, according to Chongson, it is thought of that a matandang dalaga has failed to follow God's divine will to go and multiply. De Paulo and Morris put forward that there is a rarely contested belief that only starting a family could bring about true happiness, completeness, and maturity, so not having a kabiyak and a supling, or having failed to settle down, lumagay sa tahimik, the matandang dalaga is a malungkot or lonesome figure in a di ganap ang pagiging babae narrative. Out of all the narratives we are told about aging single Filipino women, narratives of decline are the most difficult to dissipate in colonial modernity. Aging singly into old age conjures up narratives of decline in which singlehood is a burden. The single woman's aging body is associated with non reproductivity, considered disempowering, linked to a loss of beauty and sexuality, appended to social death, regarded by women with low socioeconomic status as a sense of body betrayal, and is tied to the terror of aging and dying alone. In close readings of Casper's Two, Hidalgo's Tale of the Cripple, and Cleto's Touch, the age gaze renders the aging single women protagonists as pathetic or pitiful women or as kawawa. The octogenarian Sean and her ditches, gnarled, limping bodies, and the fact that they only have each other summon for us the dreary walang mag-aalaga sa pagtanda narratives. The other protagonist, Raisa, is able to maintain a sunny disposition despite her crippling disability and lifelong singlehood, as she is cushioned by her family's loving devotion and inheritance until her last breath. But no matter the resilience, the body succumbs to deterioration and demise. Meanwhile, Dora visualizes a life bereft of a bridegroom as she takes on the double burden of providing financially for her bedridden father and assuming the bodywork of caregiving. Narratives of exclusion, failure, and decline still haunt even the supposedly celebratory narratives of single women who are described by Katrina Stewart Santiago as fun, fearless female. In the homegrown Chicklet 2015 ebook novel Loveless, Childless, Clueless by Mirenby Flores, 35-year-old Anna, albeit anxiously, re-navigates her singleness via self-love after a bitter breakup from a longtime boyfriend. In her single woman blog, Matandang Dalaga, Insane as Hell Life of a Single Woman in Her 30s in the Philippines, which was written from 2012 to 2015, archiving 177 blog entries, Zat Cruz ambivalently criticizes the ruthless condescending treatment of aging single Filipino women in Philippine society. Still, the specter of the Matandang Dalaga sneaks up from behind as if to make the chicklit heroine and the single woman blogger come to their senses about the costliness of being single for far too long. It should not take us by surprise, though, that Anna and Zat Cruz resonate with the Matandang Dalaga narratives of Miss Mijares. To discern their resonance necessitates a recognition of the caveat of the dominant paradigms of singleness studies in the global north. As pointed out by Sarah Lamb, a standard interpretive framework of choice and resistance to conventional femininity does not capture the complexity of social forces women in the global south are negotiating as they go about structuring lives outside the cultural norms and ideology of marriage. For Lamb, neoliberal and conventional connotations of separateness, independence, autonomy, and living alone are of less value to single women who have aspirations for belonging. As it were, aging single Filipino women's aspirations for belonging hold true today as they did for Miss Mijares back in 1951. Matandang dalaga narratives for most Filipinos have always been tinged with either ennui, sorrow, or discomfort as they ran counter to our contemporary sense of story discourse, which has clung to the consolation of closures and harvests and the clarity of time well spent. Matandang dalaga narratives take us to where humanity is at its most brittle, to unwanted thoughts of aging singly into old age, to fragile thoughts of dying alone. They bring to mind that particularly for the impoverished matandang dalaga, the narrative of a life well lived continues to be untenable. Nevertheless, Matandang Dalaga narratives are a testament to the quiet resistance that aging single Filipino women are capable of, how they self soothe and at the same time become a source of alternative intimacies in an increasingly insular society, or how they live frugally and self reliantly and also become a tagasalo or burden bearer for others. What gives rise to this agency is the very embodied experience of prolonged singlehood as it brushes against colonial modernity's imposition of reproductive ideology, its racialized gender hierarchy, limited economic resources, unequal sexual opportunities, the luxury of human connection outside the family, the elusiveness of old age security vis-a-vis the inevitability of old age dependency. However, one is mistaken to assume that the Matandang Dalaga's agency is a limitless pundu. Far from it. Agency and resources are kept in check by a male gaze that casts aside unmarriageable and unkissable women, a familial gaze that still dismisses husbandless and childless women, and an age gaze that treads and distances itself from the visibly, culturally, and corporeally old. The structures, ideologies, and forces of colonial modernity buttress singlism, as we cannot disassociate the coloniality of gender and racial capitalism from prejudices that cling to any form of dehumanization. Given all these odds stacked against an aging single Filipino woman, the singleness of the Matandang Dalaga comes to be understood as a colonized experience or an embodied experience of coloniality that is actively, infrapolitically, and intimately resisted. The single story is a narrative of rejection of women who are transgressively single. There is something so telling about narratives of rejection. They tell us about ourselves as a society, the othering that we do, as well as the oppressive forces that conspire to confiscate everything of value to aging single women, stripping their story of any worth and disincentivizing lifelong singlehood. Narrative as we know it is a creative force. It infiltrates our existence, and so what we do with it is crucial. From a decolonial feminist standpoint, one begins to view the Matandang Dalaga narrative as a narrative in which belongingness, personhood, and embodied existence are recovered from being pushed aside. It is a rereading that reclaims the figure of the Matandang Dalaga not only as fully woman or as fully oneself, but also as fully human. Thank you so much for listening and have a nice day.